Recording in progress.
Morning, colleagues. Morning, colleagues. Morning, Valerie. Morning, colleagues on the platform.
Morning, Chair. Morning, Chair.
Are we ready, Valerie? Can we project? See, I need the issue.
Okay, you can start the meeting.
Thanks very much. Colleagues, good morning. Let me take this moment to greet and welcome all of you in the platform. today, the 18th of November 2025, on this virtual venue, being this virtual platform, for a prescribed period between now, 9:30 and 12:30. We are going to, if you go down on the agenda, yeah, the agenda is as projected, colleagues. If you go down, yes, go back a bit. Yeah, just there. So the agenda is as projected there. Don't you think we must start, Val, we must start with number 2? If the colleagues from the departments are here.
Okay, I remember the last time the legal advisors also had other commitments to the committees that they serve on. And since their agenda item was the shortest, the committee allowed them to continue, so that there's sufficient time for the other agenda items.
Okay, no, it's fine then. I thought we would deal with, but it's fine. I think, colleagues, let me once again greet you, welcome you. There is the agenda as presented and projected before you. We'll start first with the apologies that you have noted, Valerie, and those that colleagues you have noted.
Chair, apologies were received from Mr. Mabena, Mr. Blosey, Mr. Montana, Ms. Nolutungo, and Ms. Kobe. And from the department, an apology was received from the minister.
Is Honorable Tangwa available here?
Mr. Mabena is not. He has been deployed to another committee for a period.
No, I was checking, is the Honorable Deputy Minister in the platform? I'm not seeing him.
I haven't seen the Deputy Minister. I haven't.
Okay. I see the DG. Honorable Mr. Matavata, I see you are on the platform. Greetings to you and the team that you are leading here today, of yourself and the entities. We are going to start. I think we must just start quickly without wasting time, because we are pressed for time today. Let's start with the item number 1.
Am I audible, Chairperson?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Morning, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members. Greetings to my colleagues and to all our people who are on the platform. Chairperson, allow me to start from the beginning. This Section 76 bill served before this committee, and this committee had a bite of the cherry. This committee in the 6th Parliament effected changes to this bill via an A list, and that gave birth to the B version of the bill. The B version of the bill was then transmitted to the relevant Select Committee in the National Council of Provinces. The Select Committee effected changes to the bill via a C-list, and those changes found expression or gave birth to the D version of the bill that is currently serving before us. So, this committee should confine itself to the C-list and the D version of the bill, nothing less and nothing more. We have argued invariably that the C-list does not introduce any substantive amendments to this bill. The only technical errors are the ones that are found in Clause 8 of the D version of the bill in respect of cross-referencing, and Clause 30, subclause 3A, which has an inverted comma after F. The act that we displayed or showed you at our last meeting is work in progress, And it is a document that has no legal standing in this committee because it was not supposed to serve before the committee anyway. We were just trying to show the committee that the bill's office's work on the bill has started in earnest. However, what we showed you was work in progress. May I also share with the committee that I have been in contact with the chief editor in the bill's office, and she told me that this bill has not served before her. The chief editor is the ultimate quality assurer of bills of parliament, and she made a commitment that her office will honor its mandate as it has been doing so since this institution was established. So, Chairperson, the question is, what is to be done? If you look at Rule 312, Sub-Rule 1 of the NA rules, it provides that the committee to which the Council's amended bill is referred must table in the Assembly its report and recommendations and the Council's amended bill. So the two technical errors mentioned above in respect of Clause 8 and Clause 30, Sub-Clause 3A, and their rectification thereof would then form part of the recommendations of the committee report. So, Chair, I just want to speak briefly about mediation. Chairperson, you only mediate when there is a dispute or disagreement, which is not the case here. Joint Rule 142, Sub-Rule 1, gives guidance about functions and powers of the mediation committee. It provides that mediation committee must consider a bill referred for mediation in terms of Joint Rule 220, Joint Rule 229, or Joint Rule 243, Sub-Rule 3B, or Joint Rule 244, Sub-Rule 2, with a view to finding agreement between the two components of the committee on a version of the bill. Now, Chairperson, it's very clear that you can only talk about mediation in respect of 4 instances, which are reflected in 4 different joint rules of parliament. So Joint Rule 220 deals with referrals to mediation committee in the event of disagreement between the houses, which is the NCOP and NA, and that only relates to constitution amendment bills. And Chairperson, you will agree with me, we're not in that territory. Now, the second instance is in respect of Joint Rule 229, which deals with referrals to the mediation committee in the event of disagreement between houses in respect of Section 761 and Section 72 bills. Chairperson, again, you will agree with me, we're not in that territory. Now, the third instance is in respect of Joint Rule 243, Sub-Rule 3B, which deals with procedural defects in a bill which, according to the President's reservations, is procedurally defective. Chairperson, again, you will agree with me, we're not in that territory. The last instance, Chairperson, is in respect of Joint Rule 244, Sub-Rule 2, which deals with substantive defects in a bill which, according to the President's reservations, contains a substantive defect. Chairperson, you agree with me, we're not in that territory. Accordingly, Chairperson, we recommend that the committee should adopt the D version of the bill, and the technical errors mentioned above in respect of Clause 8, which of course relates to cross-referencing, and Clause 30, Sub-Clause 3A, and their rectification thereof, should then form part of the recommendations of the committee report as per Rule 312, Sub-Rule 1 of the Rules of the National Assembly. Chairperson, we so advise. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Maybe before I and thanks for that assurance in terms of what you've just said. Maybe before I allow members to come in, I'm going to request Alma to also come in quickly. We had requested Alma to work side by side with you and do certain analysis for us in terms of the changes. Alma, if you can come in, Advocate Nell, you come in, then I'll allow members to discuss and quickly so that we quickly resolve. The Honorable the Deputy Minister, I've seen that you have joined. You are welcome, my dear brother. The DM.
No, thank
Okay.
you very much, Chairperson. I was stuck in the holding room, but good morning to you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. It's good to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Alma, if you can come in.
Thank you, Chair and members. I'm just going to do the screen share here because I think this might assist just to show members where all the changes happened. Okay, so members will see on the left side of the screen is the C list, and on the right side is the D-Bill. So I'm just going down on the C list because we did make highlights where there were differences. Okay, so the first one is here in the definitions. Just to point out to members, this and in the C list, though we can't change the C list, but it's just for members to note that this and would have been moved here to behind C. And then this any would have been a small capital A, and those changes are made in the Act as editorial changes. So those ones are in there. So that is clause 1. Let me just go here. This is the D version. So Chair will see everywhere where I marked it green is the changes as they should have been made, and they were affected from the C list to the D-Bill. And here is where I bring in that issue with the placement of the and being in the wrong place. So this is an editorial issue that Bill's office will fix, and they've already fixed it in the version that the legal advisor presented last week. Then, Chair, the changes for clause 4 are affected correctly. At clause 5, it was just an issue about this wording that I sought clarity on with the legal advisors, and they indicated in there. My view is just that they reference there to a omission of subsection 2 and not including the full 2 is not accurate, but they indicated that they noted that concern. But as I said, it's the C list. There's not much we can do there. But in terms of how it looks in the D-Bill, it is reflected correctly. So it doesn't take out the full 2, just takes the introduction section of sub 2. So that aspect was done correctly. Then members will see there the prescribed aspect is also done correctly. Here for clause 7, we just see a change from what is proposed in the C list and reflected in the D-Bill to what is reflected in the proofs. In the proof document, the editing office just decided to change the wording of 12 to the numerical value. And based on legal drafting, Chair, that is done for numbers that are over 11. Then they normally change it to the numerical value instead of the word. So that is why Bill's office made that editorial change in that proof document. Chair, here in sub 7, I just had a concern about this reference in subsection 3 because there was an insertion of a new section in here. So I requested the legal office just to indicate whether this is actually or should be subsection 3, because on my reading with the addition of subsection 2, that should have been changed to subsection 4. So that would be a change that's also part of the renumbering, as we will see in clause 8, but this error was not picked up in the C list. So we will see, let me just go here to the proofs for 7. Just want to make sure it's in there because I can't recall. 6, 7. Yes. So members will see even in the proof document or the final document, this is where they changed the numerical value. but they kept this subsection 3. So it's also here where they changed 12. So the word 12 just went to the number. That's an editorial error, but correction. But Chair, the legal office will just have to double check to make sure whether this should be subsection 3 and remain subsection 3, or whether it should change to 4, given that we've inserted a new subsection. I don't recall that issue being, let me just see if I go here. Clause 7, these are the notes from the legal office. So here they said this will be corrected from the legal advisor's side. So they've also noted my concern there. Chair, then clause 8. Members will see one of the changes that have been made, for example, in clause 7 was changing 60 days to 90 days. So it doesn't prejudice anybody in terms of that change that was made by the NCOP. So for clause 8, Chair, members would have also seen it's just this numerical, the renumbering, because of the insertion of 3. And they have indicated that those changes will be made per the editorial changes. So the subsection 5 will change, and this subsection in here will also change. And they've indicated, based on their feedback, that those change respectively to 6 and 5. So that will then make sure that that insertion is dealt with. Then our next clause, clause 9, was just the insertion of wildlife, and that is done correctly. For clause 10, there was an omission and an insertion, so we'll see here it's done correctly in terms of page 9, line 6. And then just my note there was, this is where we saw the difference between the D-Bill and the final proofs, where Bill's office decided to do the editorial changes to pronoun description words. So they went and changed throughout the document his, her, him, he, she to them, they, and their. It's advisable to draft your legislation with gender-neutral pronouns. But when you do that, it cannot be done via editorial change based on the input we've received from the drafters. And the legal advisors will discuss this with Bill's office, because normally if you do that change, it should be reflected in the amendment list. So just to give members a show here in clause 10, what that looks like. It's here where we speak of the DG. Members will see here that final proofs, Bill's office change it to the Director General or their delegated, and whereas in the D-Bill it's his delegated. One can argue that even this, just the use of his is incorrect in the D-Bill, but it doesn't change the meaning or the effect or the provisions of that clause. Chair, then for clause 11, it's just the line reference that I picked up there that they needed to consider and just look at. But other than the line reference in the C-list, which you can't really change, they did effect the changes correctly in the D-Bill. For clause 12, they also added the corrections there. On clause 14 is again that pronoun change. But other than that, 13 was corrected correctly, 14 was corrected correctly. So, Chair, I would just want to see where my red highlights are and where my notes are, just to make things go a little bit quicker. We will also see, Chair, in some areas where the the M dash is used versus the your semicolons or your other leading grammatical indicators to the bullet points or subpoints, and that changes how you either capitalize or lowercase the first word used there. But that is an editorial amendment that is done, Chair, so that is not something to be concerned of, but I did pick it up in the final version that was presented. Then, Chair, just for this section 30, where they've also indicated there was a few points I had here with clause 50, but Chair, let me just see if my notes show here. Yeah, it's mainly those pronouns, but also the change in the use of government gazette versus gazette. So we'll see in the final proofs, the Bill's office changed reference from the D-Bill that just references gazette to government gazette. And the legal office also indicated their view on that. For clause 30, they made these corrections and changes, but yeah, I just picked up here is a quotation mark in here after the F that shouldn't be there. That's an editorial issue. It was corrected in the final proofs. And then the original concern we had in that first meeting, Chair, regarding clause 31 is correct after we've received the correct version of the D-Bill. So these corrections were done in line with the correct C version that we needed. And then, Chair, just the note here, because here it still shows the old date, but we have seen in the proofs that they've changed the date, because we've had the experience in the committee of Bill's office not changing date references correct in the correct manner. The schedule also is correct based on what I've gone through there, Chair. So just on those proofs, members will see the areas in red are the areas that differ. So this is what we mean when we see this reference. It goes to capitalized, but when we see the M dash, it's a lowercase. That is a drafting editorial correction that's done there. Then, Chair, what I also just pointed out to the colleagues here was, it's clause 18 in that final proof that they presented to the committee, or proof number 4, as it was tabled, that they presented to the committee. The version of the Act does not include this reference to the full reference to the Act, and it should be there. So that is a correction that they will take up with Bill's office to make sure that in the final version it is reflected correctly. It doesn't just stop with 2013. Just want to find the, yeah, members will see here that that's the difference between the Government Gazette in 25 and the way we had it to just be Gazette. So that is from the editorial office. The thems and theirs, quite a few of them. But legal did say that they will look at that. So, Chair, here in 30, just that subsection, I wanted to point this out as well. 3. So members would have seen it ends here with the F. It should end with the F. But in that final proof, they added in subsection 1. Just want to go to the input here from the colleagues at legal, clause 30. They did not give a response to that one in clause 30, Chair, so they will just have to make sure that Bill's office doesn't add subsections, even though, Chair, this reading does make it better the way it is in this proof, for you to know which A, B, E, and F is being referred to. subsection 1 above or subsection 31, however which way they want to write it. It makes the reading easier, even though it is technically not in the D-Bill that's before the committee. Then there was just one other aspect, Chair. Members will see there that that date is correct. So we won't have another date correction that we need to do through a committee bill. But what I also picked up, Chair, in the schedules on that proof version that they presented, for example, there they had the correct date. I did that because of the economic regulator issues we had. But Chair, in the schedules here where we have the reference to the alternate language that it's being published with, along with English, they used Afrikaans here instead of the alternative language, but they used, not just that they used Afrikaans, they mixed the act, the reference of the act is act number instead of wetnommer. If you do want to keep it Afrikaans, then you must be consistent. Normally they would do this, Chair, because that language version would have not been available at the time. But they would just need to make sure that in the final proof it's consistent throughout, so that your English is English and your alternative language is the language that should be used there. Because it looks strange to have Afrikaans while you are referring or trying to make it easier for the readers of the alternative language that was chosen for the bill. So, Chair, those are just the aspects I wanted to point out from members. I do agree with the colleagues that the NCOP amendments or the Select Committee amendments are not substantive. They add to the legislation either to assist the reading or to give a more gracious time frame compared to some of the timeframes that the committee had set in their amendments. But most of the corrections are editorial, Chair. So our big question was just how do we deal with the editorial issues? And then, Chair, I know Mr. Montana submitted an apology. He had a concern about whether all provisions of the convention was covered. Based on my reading, all of the issues of the convention was covered even when we discussed the bill before us. So it wasn't that the NCOP removed anything that would change the full coverage of the convention provisions, Chair. So if members are happy, Chair, as I indicated, it's the committee we just need to have it on the record that whether the committee agrees with the NCOP amendments. If they do agree with the NCOP amendments, it's to note these editorial corrections that need and will have to be made before it's finally signed off, Chair. Normally we don't see the final proofs before it is sent off, or the committee doesn't see the final proofs before it is sent off to the presidency. The teams normally work behind the scenes on those corrections, and Bill's office is the final hands that go through it before it is sent off. But Chair, then if the committee, understandably with the transport economic regulator errors, would like to see the final version before it is sent off, the committee can decide how to do that. My suggestion is to have a look at it on the day that the committee adopts the final report on the bill. Then I believe that would assist the committee in settling all their concerns about other changes creeping in after the committee has worked on the bills, Chair. So I hope that this will have assisted members today. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, you have really assisted a great deal to assisting us move closer to finding each other and also moving towards a close on this particular chapter, especially in line with the recommendations you've made. But let me allow members one or two to comment so that we can then close it. Do I see any? Dr. Onsinger?
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, everybody. Chairperson, indeed, we have really gained insight with this direct comparison, and in my view, there's no other way to really scrutinize between different versions other than to put it next to each other. So thank you for the great effort, Advocate Nell. Chairperson, apart from gaining insight and really seeing, what the differences are, there are concerns about the errors. There's a huge concern about the correctness of what is presented to us, and I'm referring to the fact that the whole wrong version was presented to us, and we accepted that. So part of our moving forward, Chairperson, would be to set the context and then to declare the difference in our position, given that we did accept the wrong version that was presented to us, and that we now have gained insight through the comparison. There are still some legal office double checks. There are editorial issues. There are omissions. And there's also two elements that really need work on, and that is that the Bill's office must look at the gender issue. In that, I'm sure we would prefer the neutralizing of the gender as a progressive step for this legislation, and then also the whole issue around the Chapter 3, Clause 18. The full reference thing there. And therefore, Chairperson, I would suggest that we do get a final correct version where all these matters have been addressed, and that the presentation should be supported as a recommendation of what Advocate Nell presented here today. So that is what I propose, Chairperson, that we move forward in accepting the presentation, and that we convert that presentation of Advocate Nell as a recommendation for the Bill's office, and then for the legal office to double check, because there were several mentions of the legal office having to double check particular issues, particularly editorial ones. And as you might recall, even a wrong date can slip through, and then we as the committee sit with the embarrassment as if we made the mistake. So that's my recommendation, Chair, that we accept the presentation of Advocate Nell, and that we convert that to a recommendation of the committee, and that we then certainly have a final correct version to then scrutinize and accept together with our final report that would be submitted to Parliament. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Dr. Nsinga. Progressive. Honorable Malmaja.
Thank you very much. Without much of time, much has been said by Dr. Nsinga. I just want us to accept with the amendment made. I think it's very fair and clear and is correct to the latter. With that, Chair, where need be, one is approving, and I align with the recommendation that let it be approved. Thank you.
No, thanks very much. I think we are going to move this way. Alma, we agree now that the final version, before it goes everywhere, it must come through us so that we see the final version before we go to the next step. And I'm just going to recommend that, and we are adopting all the recommendations you have made for us, and really appreciate you for the great work that you have actually done on this particular document. Taking trouble of going word to word, page to page, just comparing the C and D, and so that we are in order. But also most appreciable is the recommendations that we are making. So I think we will still plead that you move closer and closer to the process, and on our behalf, so that we don't have the problem that we have with the other act, where errors had to have us to come back to do amendments and so forth. So I think we appreciate that. We are not going to waste time on this. The party shot from the lawyers, from our legal team.
No, sir, we are together with Advocate Nell. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks very much. Colleagues, we are done with this particular matter. We are all agreeable. Can we move to the next item? It will be a brief by the department. The Honorable Deputy Minister and the team are here. If they can then take us through.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to you and the honorable members once again. Thank you for this opportunity. I am joined by the acting DG and colleagues from the department. And of course, we are here to actually present to yourselves our performance report for quarter 1 and 2 of the 25-26 financial year. And the report before the committee will, amongst others, reflect the progress that we have made since the start of the financial year to the end of September in implementing our departmental strategic plan and the annual performance plan for the year in which we are here. Further, I want to indicate that in line with APME and National Treasury requirements, this assessment enables us to track delivery, identify constraints, and strengthen corrective actions as we move into the second half of the financial year. The report will, amongst others, point out that across the 8 programs of the department, performance in the first 2 quarters continues, and several planned outputs were achieved on schedule, but we have experienced delays due to a combination of issues, including recruitment gaps, procurement constraints, and the timing of key issues in projects. Maybe to indicate that in the governance and entities ecosystem, there is improvements in audit outcomes, including 4 entities achieving clean audits, and we continue to give due attention to the ongoing challenges in REF, PASA, SAA, and AUTIA, as these are critical for the ecosystem. So, Chair, maybe lastly is to indicate that we will be also speaking about financial performance, and that expenditure in the first half of the year stands at about 58% of the total budget, which is slightly below the target due to delays in major transfers and subsidies, recruitment lags affecting compensation and expenditure, and slower than planned progress on certain technical and infrastructural progress. So, Chair, we want to hand over, if I can, through you, to the DG, acting DG, so that he can be able to the team to take us through the broader presentation. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thanks, dear, in that order.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, Deputy Minister Sengwa, colleagues from both the department and Parliament. Chair, as they are sharing the presentation, Chair, one can open of a ground by really saying that we're honored to come and present to yourselves the 2 quarters performance and accompanying expenditure report. Chair, the presentation is 111 slides long. And Chair, as is customary, we will take it as read, and then we'll just touch on the highlights, particularly the Chairperson. We'll focus more on the areas that we did not achieve, and then provide a way forward on them in terms of how we plan to catch up. Chairperson, the presentation on absolute and percentages, Chairperson, we'll have a comparative tables talking to the quarter 1 and 2 on the narrative, Chair, because most of these projects and the programs on our APP are cumulative. We'll definitely give an update on the latest status. That would be the layout and the contents, Chair. We had committed to, as we were directed by the committee, to also include a summary of performance by our entities, which we have done. But you will realize again it is at higher level and talking to summaries of performance. As accounting authority in their own, as per the PFMA, the committee is more than welcome to call them individually, or the key ones, to come and explain themselves in terms of the details. Let's go to the next slide. Chair, yes, this one. Now let's go to the one before, because it talks to, I don't know why there is this thing now that says stop sharing. Can you hide it? Because it is hiding the important figures. Thank you. Chair, the total number of targets in the APP are 53. And then for quarter 1, we had 45 targets. And for quarter 2, we had 52. For one reason only. Some of the targets would be reportable biannually, and others would not necessarily apply in certain quarters. So this is not something to worry. The bigger picture is to have the annual target in sight. And as we go forward, this will show, Chairperson, when we talk to areas of non-performance. So we can go on. Next slide, Lengwe. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Those are the quarters, quarter 1 in blue and quarter 2 in, what is this color? Orange, Chair. And that is per the programs in the departments, Chair. The biggest performer in the quarter 2, obviously, is the new program, program 8, called SOC GAP. This is a state-owned companies governance and oversight. They had only one target, and they achieved it. Hence, they are at 100%. But then all the others ranges from they are around 80, except for roads, maritime, Chairperson, which are the ones that dragged us down a little bit in the second quarter. And we will give reasons, specifically for roads. It was 4 pieces of legislation, and they were stuck at the SAYAS office in DPME. But we'll demonstrate how we sourced or got those SAYAS, and we might even touch on the status as of today, which is towards the end of the third quarter. Next slide. That is the entity performance, Chairperson. Picked those ones there. As you can see, AXA performed at 89, and the others ranges from 58 to 73. Chair, we are at the second quarter, and this applies to the department too. And as I have said, we always have sight of the annual target. We'll demonstrate how we then portray catch-up to make sure that we increase or improve on the performance across the sector. Next slide. We continue with the entities. Chairperson, RTMC regressed a little bit, but again, like we say, it's at the end of 30 September. And then we're hoping that will definitely increase on their performance. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This will continue with the SOEs and SOCs. Next slide. Chairperson, the driving license card is an entity in the department. So it does not have enabling legislation. The accounting officer is the DG of the department. And that is how they would have performed based on the information that we got from them. They are showing a steady improvements as the quarters progress. See that lighter color there with some of the units in there performing at 100%. Of reporters' share is production and service delivery, because that is really the core of that entity. Next slide. Right, this is per program chairperson. Those are the areas where we had achieved. Can we go to the next slide? Because as I indicated, we focus more on the areas where we did not achieve. Next slide. Chairperson, we are steadily improving on the issues around women representation at SMS level. Chair, we are still at around 46% representation. The aim is 50 and above, but we can indicate here, Chair, if we were to take the department in totality, we are somewhere around 57 women representation. What we need to do is to enthuse them to take opportunities to enter the SMS space and apply for positions of directors and upwards. That is where we need to close this gap. We have quite a number of vacancies, as you know, Chairperson, notably at the higher level, and we can only encourage women to then apply. Unfortunately, we will not force them. We had sessions with them. It was their month in August. This message was very clear to them. Attempts will therefore be made to ensure that at the DDG level in particular, we get more women. We have just finalized chief directors now recently. All of those that were present, and we managed to get a couple of women in the four that we have interviewed and finalized. Next slide. Chairperson, this is the issue around the restructuring of the department. I think here we got stuck in internal processes because, as you would know, this touches on people's future. So there has been extensive consultation. We hope to find finality to give guidance to the drafters before the end of November. So this is progressing well as planned, and thereafter we will go to DPSA. Firstly to labor in the department, the DBC, and then DPSA. Chair, this is IT, is still in program 1. The issue around the architecture and the security architecture chairperson. Here, everything else that we needed to do was done in the department. We are now finalizing the work with SITA for SITA to come and then assist. So we're procuring these services and IT products via SITA as required by government or encouraged by government now. The new regulations allow us to go out into the market. But these are systems, Chair, and the issues around integration and interoperability are very key. We might be going to the market for hardware and computers and related issues. But in this area, we're working together with SITA to come and assist us. And this is the area where I think, where we say we will put it up and make sure that these are done, because really these are requirements in terms of the IT strategy and policy of government. Chairperson, here the issue that continue to haunt us is the 30-day payment. Chairperson, more than 90% of this are travel and accommodation. And mainly because the changes that normally are made. As an example, sir, this meeting we are in was supposed to be physical. You'd find people are already on their way, and then they're told it's virtual, and then we make those changes. So that is where the time is taken to reconcile invoices coming from the travel agent, but also between travel agent and the hotel and accommodation service providers. There is that a little bit of a delay. But the efforts, among the efforts that we have taken, we're learning from the best. Chairperson, we have already contacted and had a session with STAS SA so that we can learn from their systems on how they deal with this one. But we're also going to have a new contract, Chairperson, and we've put in a number of changes, improvements for online booking and also processing of payments. We can also safely say we will never come back to the committee with this issue of delegated official not being around because we are automating the entire system and including electronic signatures, wherein the people that are supposed to sign can sign anytime, anywhere. It's no longer dependent on them physically being around a physical paper to sign. So we are doing all we can, but I think we can give comfort to the committee that it has got very little to do with individuals to SMMEs, the small businesses that would supply us with sundries, stationaries, and related issues. Those are resolved quite soon, and they don't go beyond the 30 days that we are talking about here. So in the main, it's one area that continue to give us challenges, and we are working on them. Next slide, please. Integrated transport planning is the just transition plan to be expanded in terms of the growth strategy and the just transition strategy of government. Chair, this project or this document is supposed to serve before what we call COTO, which is the technical support structure of MINMAC and also to MINMAC. And then when it was presented to the department, we requested further work to be done on it. That is why it went beyond the quarter. Again, this is a soft target that as we look at what we need to do and have, which is to have it approved by the end of the financial year, this will be easily met. Next slide. In rail, Chairperson, the area of non-achievement is the devolution strategy. Chairperson, our work internally is complete, but just so that we have ticked all the boxes, we had roped in additional capacity in terms of the people that need to assist us to finalize this work. Next slide. This is the program, Chair, that contributed to the regression in the second quarter, and mainly because of pieces of legislation, but also the first one, which is the National Road Safety Strategy, Chairperson. I think as we were consulting widely with everybody, including all the provinces, we were then, as we presented to our principals, requested to go and expand more on the role of law enforcement. Hence, this could not go to the MINMEC, which also, again, Chair, which MINMEC did not necessarily sit in the second quarter, but we hope that, again, we'll catch up on this, and then we'll have it ready in terms of the scheduling of the tasks. Let's go to the next slide. Chair, we are at the final stages of the cost and benefit analysis of the changing the licensing regime, in particular the period from 5 to 8 years. I think the work so far suggests that we are leaning towards this 8 years. We're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's in terms of what would be the financial implication. We don't see now any when it comes to the public. In fact, for the public, it will be that they'll come back to us after every 8 years, no longer 5 years. And then from the supply side, we believe that we've got systems ready. What will be affected slightly will be the revenue that, because when you come every 5 years and when you come every 8 years, there are a little bit of cost implications from those that supply this service, but it's not that much. So we will be going for it around this Chairperson. But because it affects the public, it's something that we need to take our thoughts to the public to consult them. And then we come into the issues around the bills, Chairperson, which are the areas where we got stuck in the SEAS process. SEAS is the Socioeconomic Impact Assessment Reports. I can safely say on the majority of these bills, we now got the SEAS, but we got them after the quarter has ended, which was the second quarter. It will be this bill, CBRCA, and then the others are in the next slides, Chairperson, the RTR, and Central X. So the SEAS issue, which is being addressed now in the third quarter, again delayed us, and then these are the issues that we had fast-tracked with DPME, and we should be able to find one another chairperson. The RAPS bill, as we know it, Chair, wanted us to go a little bit more into consulting from the original RAPS bill as we know it. And that is where we got stuck, the consultation, because as we know the history of the RAPS bill, we need to be extremely careful around this area. So imagine the issues that would have been in the original RAPS bill, but as well as those that would have been in the amendment bill. As you know, we did run another process after the initial process of the RAPS bill was sort of held back because of the situation at the time. Next slide. The funding policy chairperson, again, we spend a lot of time in the consultation, but it is something that we hope to catch up as per the targets for the year. The next slide. Let's move slightly faster. Anyway. Civil aviation, Chair, CS received on the 12th of October. So we're ready to go forward. Next slide. Chairperson, the issues around the MOUs. We had planned to have MOUs and BASAs with 5 foreign countries, and you would now really understand that this is where we talk to the countries, and it takes slightly longer because you're looking at our own interests, countries looking at their own interests, it goes back and forth. But again, it's an area which we don't believe that it will result in non-achievement at the end of the year. We will catch up on it. Thanks. And then let's go to the next program. Chair, the bill is still with legal, and then we will then take it to the state law advisors after our legal has finalized. It took slightly more. Chair, the issues around legislation, for some strange reasons, there is interest as we consult, and then it requires us to do more work, and that's why in almost all the programs where there is legislation, there is a little bit of a delay because of the discussions. Next slide. Chairperson, insofar as the Operation Pakistan issues, we had been held back by the processes within the TNPA, but we're sure that again this would have been kick-started to ensure that we achieve this 70%. Chairperson, okay, that's fine, but I wanted to talk about the audits, which again were implementing the recommendations, but it is not an exception because we're on track. Let's go. Let's go, Shukile. And then the oversight on the fishing vessels was done. We are analyzing the report, and the report will then be presented. Next slide. Chair, a couple of issues in public transport. The issues around these regulations and then NLTA, the implementation is the one that was delayed a little bit, but we had caught up in this, in that, as you would know, this is the matter that we reported about regulations that were ultimately approved, Chair, and they are now implemented. Chairperson, we maybe 2 minutes on the number 3. We've done all we can in terms of the public transport subsidy. We are troubled by when we do the costing. It is just becoming unaffordable, Chairperson, to an extent that this realization of the public transport subsidy, we may have to can it. And not that we can it because we don't want to implement it, but we're covering the gaps with the other processes, Chair. You might have realized, and the Minister, I think, also did come and present to the committee around the work we are doing on the supporting the minibus taxis in order to be able to afford new vehicles, and then dealing with the containment of the spiraling prices of new vehicles. So what the Minister famously called de-risking, making sure that these people are not viewed as high risk and therefore denied financing. So we are reconfiguring or repurposing the TRP to be able to assist in this regard, Chairperson. So we might be tempted to amend the APP because we want to take out this deliverable. Next slide, Chair. Next slide. Nothing to report in terms of non-performance. Again, here we had one target and we achieved all of it. Let's go. What is happening? Okay. Hey, let's go to that table. How's this one? It's a heading. Right, Chairperson, that is the status in terms of governance at our entities. We have moved quite a lot in terms of making sure that we have the boards and we also have substantive CEOs at the entities. We are having a gap at RAF, as you would know. We have now even the active person is on suspension, but I think the matters around RAF chair, including what might have happened in the committee last week when we got feedback. The minister is fixing that problem and that process. And in fact, I think there's a meeting today to talk to the interim board to deal with the matters around the suspensions of the majority of the executive and what then would be the stopgap measures, and also dealing with the matter that I think the committee spent time on it, of the process relating to the appointment of an interim CEO. Chair, we can safely say that the issues at the CBRT have been resolved. The CEO is back, so there's only one CEO on suspension now as we speak, Chairperson, who's at RTMC. We are told that the investigation is nearing completion, so this also we will get clarity on it. The TNS CEO requested to therefore step down and processes or had an agreement with the board to step down. So the process is to start, the recruitment process will start very soon. Can we go to the next slide? So this should be read together with the performance that we report as. Again, here, Chairperson, I think we are doing very well on the boards. There are those that are coming to an end soon, and we have already started the processes. We have the interim at RAF, but the permanent board has been advertised and closed, and we are finalizing the appointments of the board members there. The next slide. I think we have these are once again the issues talking to the slides that we presented in the table format. I think, Chair, we can skip this ones and go to the next other slides. These are just the key highlights of what we presented in summary form at the last slide. Chair, we are going to the DLCA. I really wouldn't want to spend a lot of time on the units within the DLCA, but I think the message that we wanted to put across is that ever since we had the machine repaired in May, it has never experienced any technical issues and or glitches. And we are working very hard, Chairperson. In fact, the report I received this morning, we are under 200,000 in terms of the backlog. And where we had given ourselves March 2026 to complete, we could complete this work in December, at the end of December, this calendar year, the backlog. And that does not mean when we're dealing with the backlog, we stop the new applications. So we're still processing. So far, we're approaching 2 million in terms of what we've processed ever since the machine got repaired. The other process of an interim sustainable solution with government printing works has also borne fruit in that we now have a prototype which is being tested by SSA on the security features. And we could go into production as early as January. We planned to finish the security assessment on the prototype around December, at the end of December. And then we might go into mass production, meaning therefore that we will not have a situation where we have one machine and if broken, the country come to a standstill. We are also, again, Chairperson, in courts. Now we've been given the date of the hearing for the self-review of the contract that was signed with a certain company that was appointed for the new machine. We are on the unopposed roll on the 6th of January. Unopposed meaning the respondents did not submit documents, meaning therefore that bar for extraordinary circumstances, this matter could be finalized on the same day, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Chair. I think the other issues will be read in terms of details. I now would want to give to the CFO to see if he can beat my record time, Chairperson. I moved very fast and I apologize, but I think the rest of the slides are for members to get into, and we can answer any question after the CFO would have dealt with the money issues. Through you, Chairperson, CFO.
Thank you, ADG, and greetings to the Deputy Minister and honorable members and colleagues on the platform. I will take you through the Q1 and Q2 expenditure quickly. It will, if you can go to the next slide quickly. You can go to slide 79, it's fine. I will explain whilst we are at the members are looking at slide 79. It's just to share with the members that the way we manage the budget, we manage it by using the cash projection or cash flow that are approved by National Treasury in terms of the milestones that we will achieve during the year towards March. So if you look at our budget in total, it's 95.7 billion. And in terms of the first quarter, the first 3 months, according to the projection, we were supposed to spend 27.2 billion. However, we were only able to spend 24.7 billion, amounting in an under expenditure of 2.4 billion. I'll give the explanation shortly. I'll quickly also go to Q2 to see with the members that by Q2 we're supposed to have spent 56 billion. And then if you look at our actual expenditure, there is 55 billion. Then it translates into an under expenditure of 724 million. And we'll give the reasons basically as we explain. But whilst we are still on this, I want to touch on this 2.4 billion underspending in the first quarter. This is specifically because of the allocation to a special allocation to Sanral, which was not spent in the quarter. But if you look at Q2, you can see that that amount have been spent in the second quarter instead of the first quarter. We can go to the next slide. This slide, Honorable Chair and members, all the following slide, they just give the reasons for the underspending or areas where we have underspent and what remedial action we are giving in order to make sure by the end of the financial year we don't underspend or overspend the budget. You can see there in program 1, the underspending was on a forensic investigation, but the service provider have been appointed and spending will only commence when they've issued or concluded investigation and issued a report on that. And the PPP office accommodation, the expenditure is only expense or incurred while if the milestones are met. If we go to ITP, they've got an underspending of 3.9 and 6.9 respectively, and basically it's because of the compensation of employees and then the process of appointing the DGGs is undertaken. Chair, I hear some noise behind. Okay, let me proceed then. On ITP, another area is on goods and services, where there's under expenditure, especially related to the transport economic regulator. And this has been delayed and reorganized that it should be met during the financial year. In this program, Chairperson and members, funds have been reprioritized within goods and services in this program from slow spending projects in order to fund projects that are ready to spend. Next slide. On the rail branch in Q1, the under expenditure was 37 million and Q2 only 8 million. And you can see that they are on par. And the underspending was basically on the National Rail Master Plan, which was paid as the milestone were achieved. The PSP framework, the MOA was finalized in May 2024 and funds were paid accordingly. And in relation to rail safety regulation, This was delayed due to the procurement processes. Next slide. On the roads branch, in Q1, as I indicated, there was an under expenditure of 2.2 billion, and in Q2, we are sitting at 92 million in the roads branch, and basically is in relation to the technical support services that are offered to the Sihamba Sonke program. A service provider have been appointed, and expenditure will be incurred once the milestone are achieved. And furthermore, there's also the decade of action on road safety. Expenditure is incurred for marketing and promotional items for the road safety campaign. And underspending in this branch is also on the transfers. And you can see one of the transfers that was delayed is the ARTO rollout. And then a request for funds has been received in relation to the ARTO rollout and was processed accordingly only in the month of July. Then on the central GFIP, I've already explained the issue of the 2 billion that was only paid in July instead of the first quarter. If we look at the civil aviation, underspending in Q1 was 16.8 and in Q2 16.9, and it was on goods and services. In relation to the National Aviation Transformation Strategy, where the service provider is expected to submit the inception report, and thereafter the payment can be made. Also in this program, the International Air Licensing Services Licensing Council are now holding lesser meeting than before. So we estimated as per the trend of the expenditure, but now the committees as per the plan are sitting fewer meetings compared to the previous years. On the transfers, there's a payment related to the South African Development Community Aviation Safety Organization, which was only paid in the month of July. And in this program, we've got other international agreements that have been paid less than anticipated. Next slide. In the maritime chairperson, in Q1, the underspending was only 4.4 million, and then in Q2, it increased to 333 million. And this is mainly on the goods and services as well as transfers. In relation to transfers, is mainly in relation to the allocation for the Transnet in the budget facility for infrastructure for the Cape Town container terminal. And in terms of the remedial action with this Transnet budget for facility, there are ongoing engagement between the department and Transnet, which are underway, which will, when the request is received, the funds will be paid accordingly. Next slide. Public transport. Here, chairperson and members, we are sitting at 172 million in Q1 and 218 million in Q2. And it's mainly in Q2, if you look, is for the Shova Galula bicycle program, and as well as the capacity for public transport grant monitoring. On the transfers, we are slow at taxi recapitalization program, taxi recapitalization for the once-off taxi gratuity, and as well as lastly, the taxi empowerment project. Then in terms of the remedial action, the capacity for public transport grant monitoring panel of experts has been formed, and service providers in 10 work streams have been appointed. So internal arrangements are underway, and to fast track the processing of requests for quotation for appointment of clusters and new business case will be compiled for the reappointment of cluster A. In relation to Shova Galula bicycle program, delivery of bicycle is still awaited before payment can be processed. And then, as I indicated with the transfers, the taxi recapitalization program once-off taxi gratuity proposal were made to reprioritize and shift funds to the sector as the taxi scrapping is demand-driven. And for the once-off taxi gratuity, there will be a possibility that not all the operators or taxi operators will apply for their claims. When we go to SOC governance and performance, the underspending in Q1 was 9.4 million and in Q2 increased to 2.5 million. And basically here the expenditure was low because of the realignment that the branch is still undertaking. As you'll recall, most of the people or some of the people are from DPE and also from the department that still aligning the responsibilities between all the parties. Next slide. Honorable Chair and members, this slide just gives you the economic classification of the expenditure. As I indicated in my opening, that you can see, even if we specifically show the items, the totals are still the same. The budget for the first quarter was 27.2 billion, spending 24, and then under expenditure 2.4 billion. Similarly to Q2, planned expenditure was 56 billion and then expenditure was 55.3 billion, showing that underspending. For goods and services, for compensation of employees, we are underspending by 16.7, goods and services 101, and transfers 596, capital assets 11 million, and then by the end of the Q2, we're on par on the payment for financial assets, which is the allocation for Sandra. Next slide. Chairman, Honorable Chair and members, I will not go these slides. The next 3 or 4 slides, they give details on the list of projects that were slow. But this first slide actually gives us the status of the compensation of employees and how the department is implementing the recruitment process. As you can see, we have advertised 37 posts and to date, and then 3 posts have been filled and 2 posts at senior management level, 1 and 1 at salary level 1 to 12. 4 chief directors have been interviewed and the posts are expected. I think the DG touched on this one. Let me skip it. Let's go to the next slide. I will suggest that we go to slide. If we can go to slide 59. 89, sorry. So that members can see the transfers, the details of the transfers and where we are slow. As you can see, all the provincial and municipal transfers have been processed in accordance with the schedule. If we look at this slide, the only 2 items that are underspent is the one we just talked about, the Transnet allocation for the Cape Town container terminal. And then I also touched on the RTIA. And however, I want to indicate that the transfer payment for RTO rollout request was received, and expenditure will show in the next quarter as we report, because it was only processed after the end of the quarter. Next slide. Here is some of the transfers as indicated. The ones that are going slow is taxi scrapping, which we indicated that is demand driven. The ones of taxi grant also is a little bit slow. Taxi empowerment sitting at the 54 million, and this is because it's dependent on the receipt of the report and verification of the report before payment are released. And the other part that is outstanding is the international organization, and basically is because of less funds were transferred to international organization membership fees, which were paid as per the agreement. Next slide. These are the details of the provincial road maintenance grant. As you can see there, we transferred as per the payment schedule. Next slide. Also the public transport operation grant. Next slide. The network grant also transferred, and then next slide. Honorable Chair and members, I suppose I need to take you through this particular slide because this slide is reporting on the adjustment, the environment, the rollovers, the shifting of funds that have happened since the allocation was approved. Members will know that last week it was the presentation by the Minister of Finance for the adjustment budget, and from our department, this at high level is the adjustment that we have done. In terms of the tabling, we received rollovers of 308 million, and then there was a budget for the 150 million for in terms of unforeseeable and unavoidable. I will give details later. And we also process environment, as you can see, across the programs and the shifting of funds. And the main one is the 4 billion, or actually is a 5 billion under root branch. If you add those red numbers, is because of the declared savings that have been declared against Sanral, that Sanral is sitting with cash and equivalent of about 50 billion, whereas other departments and other departmental entities are having cash flow challenges. So it was recommended that this reduction be implemented to assist other areas of government. So if you see, if we go to the next slide, just to give a little bit more detail. This is a similar one as per this one now. The adjustment budget is indicated in terms of compensation of employees. If you look at high level, I mean, in terms of economic classification, you can see that we are increasing compensation of employee. We are also increasing our goods and services because of the project, and we also decrease the transfers, and then decreased the capital assets, and then we also decreased this one is just a reallocation actually of payment of financial assets. The next slide will give me a little bit of details from there. So in terms of the rollovers, chairperson and members, the following amounts were rolled over for the rail branch for the review of the regulation for Railway Safety Act, and as well as the finalization of the devolution strategy. And on the transfers and subsidies, this is a rollover for the public transport network grant for local government. And then in terms of unforeseeable and unavoidable transfers and subsidies, provincial road maintenance grant component for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of infrastructure damaged by disasters. And then in terms of the shifting of funds were shifted to other departments for the G20 Leaders Summit, for the rebuilding and equipment for the dome in Parliament, and allocation also for the Campepe Commission, as well as a Public Service Commission. And this was taken from Sanral non-toll roadwork allocation. Similarly, reduction due to accumulated underspending of grant from Sanral on the toll route for 4.4. If you add the two amounts, they'll give you the 5 billion taken from Sanral allocation. And then expenditure of an exceptional nature on the transfers and subsidies is the provincial road maintenance work grant component, also for increased allocation for in relation to disasters in the KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and Northwest. Next slide. Chairperson, this is just a detailed report of what I just summarized in terms of the environment and shifting of funds. And on that note, I want to thank you for the opportunity, Chairperson and members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. That is our story for today, Deputy Minister. I think the last few slides, Chair, are the developments that would have happened post quarter two, the movements and the adjustments, and they were part of the speech of the ministers the CFO has said. But significantly, I think we can indicate that we did secure back the 303 for the eThekwini PTG. Remember, the monies withheld in the last financial year because of non-compliance. So when we found one another, we then supported the rollover of 303. So that is the one big issue. The other big issue in terms of these movements is the cut of slightly above 4 billion rand from Sanral, because the National Treasury said that Sanral is sitting with huge cash reserves. So the net effect of it all is that the budget was cut from 94 to 91 billion rand. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy. We are done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matawata and the team. Thanks very much. I think you have outlined now in relation to the quarter. I'm going to request the honorable members to come in and pose questions and comments, and then from there we'll move forward. I think you've done your part. It was straightforward. Honorable members, there you go. I don't see hands here. I hope silent will mean consent. Honorable Ghana, you'll be followed by Honorable Nkopani. Then Honorable Malmacha will close.
Thanks very much, Chair, and thanks for the presentation. Let me start where the acting DG kind of ended, because one of the things, Chair, that the acting, at least what I was hoping to hear, especially when we look at the adjustment budget, it's the issue as it relates to the PNG grant, the network grant. There was a reflection that the Minister of Finance made on last week Wednesday, insofar as scaling down that program because it's not performing. So that was something that was said last week, and I saw that when it comes to the spending, insofar as the eThekwini, there's money that is being spent there. Maybe if we can get a sense from the DG and the team whether the extent of the scaling down on this particular grant is known or is being worked on, and also insofar as eThekwini is concerned, what kind of work is happening there. So I decided to start there, Chair, as the first point. And I think so on SANRAL, and maybe the department can clarify these amounts that are being taken from SANRAL. On one side, there's an aspect that speaks to the transfer of provincial roads to SANRAL without the accompanying budget. I think that's the statement that is used. But then there's this particular budget that has now been taken away from Treasury, so it was not being spent. To check whether it was not being spent because there were no roads either to be maintained, to be built, or what was the reason of the non-performance of that particular portion of the non-toll roads by SANRAL. So that's the second point. As a comment, Chair, one notes that the machine seems to be working. The printing machine printed over 1 million license cards in a quarter. Long may it continue the issues regarding that printing machine. But as a question, not to the printing, I think we had that conversation on the printing. I've been asking a question around the taxi gratuity. It's supposed to be once off. Maybe it is my understanding or misunderstanding. When we talk of a once-off gratuity to the taxi industry, is it once-off to the operator, or we pay it this particular financial year as a once-off and then it does not carry on to the following financial year? So that I don't have to ask this question again, Chair, if there can be that clarity. Then two last questions. Madonna will come and finish the other questions that I didn't ask. The spending on rail, the questions on rail transport, the spending thereof seems to be extremely high. So it's sitting at 83%, and this is by the end of the second quarter. And I don't know what's going to happen insofar as the last 2 quarters. Because if already rail transport has spent 83% in 6 months, what is the plan around that? And I think related to that, there's an irregular expenditure of PRASA that I don't know whether that is within this financial year or it is a cumulative figure. If we can get that clarity. The final one, Chair, I'm trying to look at the slide number. So on entities, and I was checking. I think where we talk about the CEOs, slide 54, Chair. On PRAS, no, not on PRAS. No, sorry, Chair. On RAF, The note says the acting CEO is suspended and the board has been instructed to appoint an internal person to act. You remember the conversation that we had last week, Chair, around the person that is interim and that confusion there. I don't know whether this particular instruction happened before our meeting last week or it happened after our meeting last week. If it happened after our meeting last week, what is the state of RAF? Because as I understand, the board of RAF has decided or had decided, I don't know what the status of that is, Chair, had decided that they will go for an external person to be an interim CEO. But reading slide 54, Chair, it says you have instructed the board to appoint an internal person to act as the CEO of RAF. So I don't know what is happening with RAF. Insofar as the CEO is concerned, maybe the acting DG can give us clarity in terms of what's happening in that space. I leave the questions that I did not ask to Honorable Maduna. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Honorable Ghana. When you refer those questions to Honorable Maduna, I think you are forfeiting them because I see he's not on a mood of asking today. Oh, when you refer to him, he raised the hand now. Thanks very much. Honorable Maduna, you'll come after Honorable Kopan. Honorable Kopan.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Good morning to you and the DM and all my colleagues and the entire team. Chair, I would like to appreciate and welcome the report being presented on the Q1 and Q2 performance 2025-26. Chair, while I welcome this report, the minister filling 8 out of 10 NED positions in the month of October 2025, I would like to get timeframes on the filling of the remaining 2 NED vacancies on the board when it comes to Cross-Border Road Transport Agency, CBRTA. My second question, Chair, with a negative variance of 12.65%, that is 3.77 million, meaning there were shortcomings in targets achieved by Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa. Please, can they assist us by providing detailed strategies to address the ongoing signaling challenges, power failures, delays in station refurbishments, as well as persistent vandalism and asset theft that continue to limit service delivery capacity for PRASA as reported? Then the last question, Chair, are there any positive results produced by RAF? That is, as promised earlier on, the ability to settle 15% of new personal injury claims within 120 days. Since the fund introduced initiatives such as block settlements, resolving older claims, and implementing the ICMS system. Then, Chair, I cannot leave this one out, the issue of the 46% females on the SMS. yes, we appreciate the current number of 46, and also we appreciate the overall percentage of women in the employ. However, the importance of senior management service level is a decision-making level. That's where we want to see the women taking up those tasks. So it cannot be, well, let us welcome 46% and keep quiet. No, it's not enough. We need to see 50% plus of women in SMS level. Let us change this scenario, because this department has been a male-dominated department for decades before 1994. To have these women in the SCM level is a breakthrough and a clear and practical transformation that is being is expected of us. So I think it would be important for the leadership, that is the ADG and his team, to ensure that we move from this 46% to 50% plus. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kopani. Progressive questions. Ntando Maduna, there are questions that you must ask on behalf of yourself and on behalf of Honorable Khan.
No, thanks, Chair. I will cover Honorable Khan. Good morning, Chair, to you, colleagues, and also the department. Thanks, Chair. I'm also not going to be long. I think in line with what Honorable Kompano has just in the note where she closed, speaking about the transformation agenda, I believe that the transformation agenda cannot be suspended. It needs to be part of what we do daily. That's why. I think in line with women, it's very important that we must start seeing young people below the age of 35 in senior management positions. Because we have seen over time that it doesn't necessarily mean that those that have worked for more than 15 years or so in these senior management positions are doing well. However, we need new talent, we need new ideas. It's the age of AI. So it would be very important that we incorporate young people to this senior management position. Thanks, Chair. That's one. But in my first question to the department would be that, given that we are moving, especially now, to the festive season, which usually has a number of road fatalities, I want to check, do you have any strategy to deal with the increased road fatalities by 2.43% from 11,883 in 2023 to 12,172 in 2024, with regards to the data that is obviously provided by RTMC. So I just want to check, do you have any strategy to make sure that this does not increase in this year? Secondly, Chair, when it comes to integrated transport planning, we see in the report in Q1 there's an underspending of about 3.9 million and underspending of about 6.9 in Q2. Now I want to check, why are there delays in filling of vacant posts, and what are the time frames to ensure that the department addresses this? I mean, we have a high level of unemployment in the country, and I don't think it's a desirable situation to have unfilled vacancies in our government departments. Secondly, can we get a detailed explanation on why there was no expenditure on national transport planning database and regional corridors project? And lastly, Chair, on rail transport, can they provide an explanation why there is an underspending of 37 million on Q1? Obviously, it's contributed to the non-spending on National Rail Master Plan, and then they provide number of issues under it. Can they provide us with the reasons? Secondly, what are the timeframes to address the matter of vacancies, which also contributed to the underspending in Q2? I think that's just about that. I think this one of vacancies especially, I do not think it's a matter that we should be speaking about. I think it must be addressed as a matter of urgency. I thank you very much.
I'm sure Honorable Ghana is covered also. Honorable Malmas, will you come in my seat so that we summarize this?
No, thank you very much, Chair. It's just 2, 3, 4 questions. Let me start by really welcoming the presentation and further say, indeed, we can see action that you are turning things around. However, you seem not to be good in sustaining what you are turning. To be specific, linking what I'm saying, giving rider to what Madonna is saying. Last year, you had what is called Edward, or the man himself, Edward. The result of Edward was overwhelmingly accepted by every South African. Now, you zoomed into RTMC with a lot of stories which you are not interfering, but I can tell you what one Honorable Maduna is saying, that there seem to be a shift from Edward. Talking to us, tell us, what is it that you are going to do to ensure that what Edward left last year is going to also be coming here come this year? If we don't take it that way, the majority of the South Africans, they relied much and they trusted transport after the emerging of Edward from RTMC. The other issue is this issue of REF. Just please break down the contributions of the status of liquidity risk and solvency risk when it comes to RAF. Talk to us, and when you deal with us on those bases, be hindering on the outstanding matters where the firm, small business entrepreneurs have rendered service to this institution, and yet today there's nothing that is assisting them to really grow. Now we are overcome by a lot of issues in that particular space. And when you talk to us, talk to the masses of South Africa and say, you rest them assured that whatever is happening internally is not going to affect what they are expecting outside there. Because if you don't do that, they will think everything is doom and dead. Let's talk the money, Chair, when I wrap up. I think Honorable Ghana covered the issue of the taxi recapitalization. In the very same in, you'll find there are still some underspending. Talk to us and how it's possible when people are expecting money can't reach them, then there's underspending. The last one, allow me to request the CFO to explain the 2.215 billion underspending in Q1 and underspending of 92 million in Q2 for road transport. With those weights, thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Dadima Tabata, if you can come in and respond together with the team, and from there, I think you are getting it, you are flowing nicely today. If you were here last week, you'll think the members who are here are totally different people. But it's because of how you have presented, and I think that's quite inspiring. Just respond so that we move to the next item. Be summative.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and thanks for the questions from the honorable members, Chair. But maybe I should go meet this Edward, Chair. He might offload one or two wisdom issues in our heads. But let us deal with the questions. Chair, we are full house because it's virtual today. Everyone is here, and they might have to deal with some of the specifics. But I will try and deal with the majority of them. Chair, the issue of the PTNG, Chair, Public Transport Network grant, is us who said the grant is not necessarily performing well, but it is because of what we would have put into the system in the last 15 or so years, which is about 84 billion, and the outcomes that are not clearly visible on the ground. So we then have started a process to reimagine how we resolve public transport challenges in the country as a whole, as a package. And that includes revisiting the grants. I think the Minister of Finance used a very strong language to say it must be 10 or totally removed. But we have since formed a committee with finance to look into how can we transform the PTNG to ensure maximum coverage in terms of service delivery and close the loopholes in terms of the leakages, taking from lessons learned from the past 15 or so years when we introduced the PT engine. The long and short of it is that we want authorities to buy buses and carry people. Less infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, I'm not saying the critical infrastructure will still be done. So the fancy glass stations with lifts and air cons and Wi-Fi, maybe we need to reduce on those frills and then focus more on making sure that the people are transported. And a key component there is will be buses. So that is how we intend implementing the message that was communicated by the Minister of Finance last week, which is basically an instruction from Cabinet having been informed by MinCombat. Chair, when we talk about spending, we will report across the board on a PT and IPTLs. And that would have included the likes of eThekwini on what they would have had as the transfers before we withheld any additional money, but also the contracts that would have been running. And this includes this 303 that we say we have now requested a rollover and we will be releasing to eThekwini. It's because when we said there is non-compliance with DORA and NLTA, it was on the plan submitted. Now we worked with them to improve on what they are going to do and what they should be focusing on. But we also are covering contractual obligations that they would have entered in, because we don't want them to have serious problems around civil claims in that regard. So the expenditure would have been on the work that was ongoing and would have included the monies that were transferred to them before. That money would have an additional 303 based on the work we did with 303 million, the work we did with them. To us, we are happy and relieved that we could resolve some fundamental differences we had with them. But we will be looking very close to them so that they then honor the obligations that they made to us of no longer going against the letter and spirit of the legislation that we have. Chair, I'm just saying these things because they are current and topical. They were not necessarily applicable in quarter two, more especially this issue of violence, but we had to because we're reporting today on the 18th of November, even give you the latest developments and information. The central card, we were alerted by Treasury based on the looking at the systems of all of us that Central is sitting on cash reserves of 53 billion. That would include the transfers that would have made over the years, not recent, not going back. So maybe 2-3 years, they've been building up money coming from the fiscus, including money that they would collect on the toss, including money that they would get as part of the loans that we would have guaranteed. So they're sitting in cash reserves of 53 billion rand in the bank, and they are generating quite attractive interest on it. So they are having enough money. But it does not necessarily mean that the majority of that money is not committed. It is committed because we gave them money based on the plans that they would have given us. Now, some of them would be, say, a contract that takes slightly longer, then there is delayed payments, procurement process that take longer because they would have been reversed or even litigated upon and so on. So they don't spend money. But from a treasury point of view is that, look, we know that this money is there, but we also know that this money is going to be needed. But it might be needed in year 29, 30, or 28, 29, later, not now. But there are projects and programs of government that are distressed now. So we are going to, because every year entities need to return money to Treasury, but monies that are committed, they then ask for exemption. So we will give you exemption, but we are going to take only this 4.3 billion out of Sanral so that we use it for other needing pressures. We had thought that when they do that, this money will go to PRASA because, like it is said, PRASA is experiencing some strain because they've recovered more corridors than they had planned. So the operational expenditure is up, is higher. And this is a response to what one question was, why there is so much overspending in rail, is because we had to bring forward the drawings from Treasury going to PRASA because of the pressures in PRASA. I even see here there is a follow-up meeting because then we're working with Treasury to sort out the PRASA budget pressures. The ones of graduate is exactly that, the ones off. This is the money that was made available for the tax industry, 1.1 billion, to compensate for the MTCs and the reduced sitting capacities during COVID. You would know that transport was not totally closed. It was closed for the first week, but then it's one of those that opened but carried less people and so on. Now, the minister then requested that the government allow him to pay gratuity because these are the people who do not get money from TAS, money from UIF, like other people. So this money is for the taxi owners who are properly licensed and then who were affected by COVID. Now that money, we used 400 plus of it, and 708 was not spent, and the 708 came back to government. We went back and to Treasury to say, no, but that money was appropriated, and it even showed expensed because we transferred it to the NEF, which was the implementing agent at the time. And it is unfair that we did not use that money for its intended purpose, and it came back to government. But Cabinet has said we can go for phase 2 to go and round up those who did not come and were closed by the phase 1, but also improve on the grant itself, on the stipend that we pay. So the stipend was improved from 5,000 to 7,200, and then we reopened. Now, we've realized, well, no, but these people don't want, are not coming in numbers to come and take advantage of this 7,200. It might, some of them, not worth it to go through the pain of in order to get 7,200, because we are now seeing the performance of this once-off gratuity is not again as expected. But the beauty is now everybody has been given a chance. We'll no longer have an outcry of people saying they were closed by the system because it closed too soon. So this money came in 2 tranches. 300 in the adjustment of the previous financial year, during the adjustment, this time last year. And then 408 in the budget of 25-26, the current budget, totaling 708. So it is once off because it will never come back again. It is no longer going to be a recurring item on the budget. Hereafter, what is not spent will be taken back to Treasury, even more because the issues of violence are closed because the medium-term budget has been tabled in Parliament. And if passed, which happens sometimes in December, the monies will be spent according to how they've been wired. But I just wanted to spend time on this once off because it's really exactly that. It is a single window opening, which will not be sustained going forward. I've spoken about overspending on rail. I'm sure the rail DDG might also come in. And then how does it relate to regular expenditure, PRASA? I think PRASA can be called to come and explain this, but the information we have is some of the contracts that were flagged coming from previous years were flagged as a regular and are being investigated as we speak. Interim versus acting at RAF. Then the interim board of RAF, based on the work they were doing in the assessments they did, they found that it would be better serve the company to place, I think, the acting CEO and the other members on suspension, including the acting CEO. Now, they did inform the minister about that, and then the minister gave them her concurrence. What was not told to the minister, which is something that we are working on and should be addressed soon. Hence, I also said there is also another meeting today with the chairperson of the board, between the minister and the chairperson of the board. The minister gave concurrence under the impression that the person that they were appointing to act is an employee of RAF. Now, only to find out, and then I think around when the issue was ventilated and discussed at the portfolio committee, that no, actually this person left RAF at the end of September. So he's gone. He's an outsider, he's an external person. And then the minister wrote back to RAF and said, no, because of not adequate representation of facts by yourselves on the status of employment of this person, I withdraw the concurrence because I want to believe this should be done properly in terms of normal recruitment processes and related matters. Now, that is the situation, unfortunately, at RAF. But I can assure you, Chairperson, some of these internal turmoils, as much as when they go out, they make news, they don't really affect us and even some of our entities in terms of the mandate that we have to carry. Under the circumstances, we continue to improve and provide the services. It's just that, as always, bad news, however, under control they might be. They travel fast and they always make news out there. The two outstanding members, it was because of the act of the CBRTA and the relevant skills, but it's just a matter of augmenting and just making the two additional appointments. I've spoken about the challenges at PRASA and the budget pressures are of around 3.7 billion. I'm sure DG Rail can talk to what is the progress in around the specific projects that were mentioned by the honorable member, signaling, vandalism, and related issues. But we can safely say that I think signaling contracts have been awarded in 2 areas, except for one, because the process was also litigated. But the matter's under control there. Chair, may I also add, because this is related, are there any positive things coming out of RAF? Apart from this, what you might call internal challenges, I think RAF has improved in terms of settling the claims of the claimants. The board came in, they worked very, very hard to ensure that at least we deal with the backlog that was as a result of the wranglings of the last few months. But and there is positive feedback in terms of the affected people. It's just that the bad news really dominate the space. We have noted, and we cannot agree more on the issues of women, and hence I said the positions that we are busy with have got women in them. Except, I mean, we start going into the details because some of those appointment processes, though at final stages, have not been finalized. That would assist a lot. We can also say that we had, after a very long process, the minister and those that assisted her in the interviews, I've identified a female for the position of DG Corporate Services. Unfortunately, the vetting process came out negative, and we then had to go back to the drawing board. And this is the story of our lives at a very senior level. When we think that we've got things in a row, some of our processes flag red flags, and then we need to review. But we also encourage, and that is where the issue really starts, women to apply. Our people, our women don't apply, Chairperson. So much so that you can only process, shortlist, and interview the people that would have applied. But we will have concerted efforts. Our training program is attracted women. There's more women that we are training, provided bursaries than men in the department. But they just don't come to the party and apply. And again, this we note the issues around the youth. And what is encouraging on the young officials of our departments, they've really taken up the development programs of the department. I think we are producing more doctors at a younger age than most departments. On average, 3 per year, Chairperson. So we train them. We want them to gain enough experience so that they take over from us when we leave. We do have the road safety plan for the festive season, and like I said, we must talk to Edward so that we see what were those positive issues that he he did bring to the committee and also implemented, and we learn from there. But we do have a plan. Not only the plan, we were assisted. Some of these movements of funds, our treasurer approved more money for road safety going to RTMC, and more money for road safety coming into the department. So we cannot and we will not complain about shortage of funds, especially for these festive seasons. We were given enough to be able to continue on the positive downward trajectory of fatalities on our roads. Chair, our COE would look like if you look at program level that it is underspending, but in essence, we literally need more money for compensation of employees, for salaries. And that's why our vacancy is not moving the way it is. Priority is being given to DG, DDGs, and chief directors. We're doing well on chief directors. The DDG positions, we're trying to open it up a little bit because on 3 occasions, there are 2 DDG positions that did not attract enough pool. The DG position did not attract enough people. So we want to see how we can reach out to more South Africans without compromising the inherent minimum requirements for the positions. So I wouldn't, I think CFO would have said it, that ITP is where we do not have a DDG also. But if you look at the scheme of things, the compensation is not enough. We actually, again, we're assisted by an additional 5 million across the department. So just so that we do not overspend on compensation of employees. I think among the slides which we did not go into details would be the liquidity situations of all the entities, Chairperson. We cannot here say the liquidity position of RAF in particular is positive, but it's not only RAF. And you would see it when the AG do an analysis of going concern. But because these are state entities and there is guaranteed income that would either come in the form of the budget from government or in the form of levies, as so far as RAF is concerned. Those issues are not necessarily concerning, but RAF major concerns to us is the issue around contingency liabilities, meaning therefore, if you look at the totality of all the claims, they paint a bigger picture. I mean, a picture that shows that RAF is not doing well. It's not paying. The levy does not cover the amount of claims that are coming into RAF. Hence, we really would want to introduce the new bill, the proposed bill, into the system, because that is where we believe we can also improve on some of the revenue enhancing mechanisms. But the actual payments that are payable are in the region of 30 billion rand, and whereas RAF in the remaining is expected to get in the region of two tranches of 5 billion rand each. So the money is never enough at RAF. If we were to pay today all the claims that are in the system or pending payments, definitely would lead in the region of hundreds of billions insofar as RAF is concerned. So those are the issues, Chair. CFO can come in if there are those that I would have missed or would not have answered adequately when it comes to monies. And I think the other colleague is just again talk on this issue of rail and PRASA, and that would be DDG Mwakoma Kaipia. If there is something that I would have missed, Honorable Chair, through you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You, CFO. Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. I think I can touch on two inputs. I'll start with the road branch in relation to under expenditure on quarter one, where I said in terms of the planning of the cash flow for quarter one, for the road branch, we plan to spend 12.7 billion. That is according to the milestones that they were supposed to reach by quarter one. And then included in that 12.7 billion is a special allocation to Sanral of 2 billion. And in terms of the process, Sanral was supposed to submit an invoice in quarter one so that the money is paid in quarter one. But unfortunately, they only claimed the money in July. So that is why in quarter one, there is that underspending. And also included in that amount, as per the milestone of ARTO planning and implementation, there was an allocation for Artia, specifically for ARTO rollout, not their normal transfer that they get every quarter. So, but however, they did not comply with the conditions of the rollout in quarter one and also in quarter two. That is why the funds were only released during quarter three, which we say it will show when we report the expenditure of quarter three. The other matters was on the underspending on rail branch. And then we did indicate that the slow spending was in relation to the challenges and processes in the supply chain management, which delayed the appointment of the for the private sector participation framework and so on. But those things have been now addressed, and it will show as we report for quarter three. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Dr. Matlala. Thanks very much, and you once again, DG. I would assume we have captured the essence of today in as far as this part is concerned. I don't think we must labor it much. I'm not seeing any hand. I think we are covered. If we can then go to the next item on the agenda, Valerie.
Chair, are we therefore released? Sorry, to just patch in.
You want to be released?
I want to believe the next item might not need the department, Honorable Chair. We are in a capable hands. We don't mind. We can be with.
Display, Valerie, display. So that I formally release the DG and the team.
Chair, Advocate Nally is going to screen share the report, the draft report on the Daveyton petition.
Yeah, before you stream, the DG, thanks very much. I think we'll meet you. You would have heard that there were a lot of questions around December road safety. Members, we're collectively as members anxious. We started the year very, very well, and did very well during during Good Friday, the Easter. But during the year, we had serious setbacks. We are looking forward with abated breath in as far as the festive plans are concerned. That's why you hear members popping in questions relating to festive. But I know we'll be receiving in a week a comprehensive festive plan. Yeah, you must, as you go back, you must know that the members are really, really worried around that. Thanks very much. You are officially released, colleagues.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Chair, I hope the report is visible.
Of course it is.
Okay, Chair, members, this is the draft report on the oversight visit for the Daveyton petition. I just added today's date in the heading. This is just our introduction, general introduction on how we deal with petitions, the background to the petition that was received, key points raised by the petitioners in the petition. And then the recommendations that the petitioners made or requested from the committee. Then we indicate the responses that we received from PRASA on the engagement on the petition. And we indicate they've also presented on their timelines by when which sections will come on board, as well as the funding that they need. Then from 6 onwards, we indicate the delegation for the oversight visit, the support staff, and what notes were taken at each station. So that's the first one was Daveyton Station, then the Apex Traction Substation. We did not go to Dunswart because they indicated that the station's condition is similar to Daveyton. And then the visit to the Boksburg Bridge construction site. So it's the background and the discussions. Then the committee chair members, we tried to pull from the discussions that members had. I was trying to do my best to take shorthand notes and send that through to myself. So this came from there. So it's a general view of the condition of and at the station. I also just noted how good the taxi rank opposite the station looked compared to the station, and that the taxi rank was still operating. We indicated the additional concerns that were raised there from the councillor regarding the Zamazamas. Well, the councillor as well as the security officer from PRASA indicated this. Then the requests there from the two community members, as well as the group CEO's closing comment there that we should not get, or the community must not be confused with the timeframes. The trains will not be running in December. Then for the Boksburg Bridge, we indicated some of the comments also there from Ward Councillor received by members. And then some of the comments that members made also regarding the condition of the road that's underneath all of that ground and gravel that we saw, because we don't really know what that road condition is or will be. Then for Apex, we added some of those local skills and components aspects that they spoke of. And then that request that members made that there needs to be a report on passenger numbers for the corridor. Then also the committee recommendations. We indicate there was mechanisms to be put in place by the legal department for PRASA to address the subcontractor issue. Members will recall one of the subcontractors spoke up during the oversight. Then also that they should submit the report on their insurance claim for the company that caused the incident at the Boksburg Bridge. The passenger numbers for the corridor being served by the Apex Traction Substation is requested. Quarterly reports on progress made for the Daveyton corridor recovery, as well as the recovery of the PRASA stations and corridors having to be accompanied by sufficient security measures. This was one of the recommendations that were already made when we sat with the police committee in that first meeting. So I propose to add that in there so that that aspect is also covered. And then that the department must assist PRASA with the budget shortfall. And we've received now a presentation on how the department is assisting PRASA with some of their budget shortfalls. Chair, so those are the recommendations and observations that I pulled from the engagements, the first engagement with the petitioners, as well as with PRASA, and then during the oversight. Chair, if there's any other recommendations we need to add, members are welcome to do so now. So that we add that before the report is placed up for adoption. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Valerie. Hello, honorable members.
Chair, you just in terms of the way forward, as I've indicated to yourself and to the members in an email, the petition was sent to
Yeah.
The petition was referred to this committee for consideration and report, and to the PC on police only for consideration. But the House also instructed both committees to confer on these. So in terms of the rules, it is acceptable for committees to give written input on such matters. So I would suggest that the committee send a copy of the draft report after it's made its input on it to the PC on police for further written input before adoption, Chair. That is just from our side as a secretariat.
Before that, I want members to first comment on the report, and then thanks for that. We'll then be able to refer also to the Committee on Police to make their input before we finally adopt the recommendation and close the report. But I wanted to check if members have anything to say. Members?
Chair, can I ask? Sorry, I did not raise my hand. I'm on my cell phone.
Yes, Honorable Van Staden.
No, sorry, I couldn't see the document and I couldn't hear part of it. I just want to know at the bridge where we were visiting, if input of that subcontractors is also submitted in this report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You want to say something on it?
Chair, we did indicate in the report that the subcontractor raised issues about payment and about the main contractor not being on site. And we also indicate in the report that members requested PRASA to deal with this and the department to intervene where necessary. And we also have a recommendation in there for PRASA to ensure that they have mechanisms in place to address contractor and subcontractor disputes. So that is how we address those matters, Chair.
Okay, I think Honorable Van Staden is clarified there. I think let's say we'll come back to adopting the report after the input by the Portfolio Committee on Police. Is that fine? Colleagues, can we take?
Chair,
can we
my hand is up, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Malmaj.
I stand to confirm that indeed this is the true reflection of what happened on site, and I agree with the report. And one thank the presenter for the good work done, as agreeing with what you are saying. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks very much. I think let's have the report. We are tacitly approving it. We'll wait for the input of the police Portfolio Committee on Police. From there, we'll consolidate. And then Alma and Valerie and Dr. Ngesi, you must do what is expected out of it, ensuring that we get that input. From there, we just bring it back, adopt it. Is that fine, colleagues? Let's move. Next item.
Okay, next up are the minutes of 4 and 11 November.
Let's run through them quickly. I'll consider them as read. Comment here, page
Chair.
1.
Yes, Chair. The 4th of November was that presentation or the responses from SANRAL on the Amadiba community petition, the discussion on the MOP bill, and the update on the ASIP interviews, as well as minutes. Those are our members that were present, and the absentees, other officials, support staff, just the opening input there from Chair, and that we swapped the items around on the agenda just for presentation purposes, but we're reporting the agenda as it was in the notice. So the remarks from SANRAL are noted. Members' comments on the presentation are there. The replies from SANRAL, and that we requested that they meet with the community members within 3 weeks and report back to the committee. Then the MOP bill, that was the presentation by the legal advisor, and then the comments and the instruction for the team to work with the PLAs, and that's what we then did this morning. Then that adoption of the minutes of the 21st of October, the matters on ASIP, where we highlighted a bit of the timeframes and also some of the concerns and the issues about the background checks taking some time, and the adjournment. So those were the minutes for the 4th of November, Chair.
Any comment here, colleagues?
Move, Chair, on my side. I don't think there are any issues that I could pick up.
Who moved? Is it Ghana? Honorable Ghana is moved. Second.
I second, Chair. Nkupani.
Honorable, thanks, Honorable Nkopani. Thanks very much. Next item, next set of minutes. Run through them quickly again.
Chair and members, those are the minutes of the 11th November. That was the Road Accident Fund's annual report, the AG's briefing, and then the engagement with the Road Accident Fund. That was last week. The members present. Executives in attendance, the support staff, introduction, the briefing by the AG. The briefing by the Road Accident Fund was more, sorry, Chair, this is just the version that shows my track changes. The briefing by the Road Accident Fund's interim board, and the discussion was mainly on the suspensions and the interim CEO appointment. So Chair and members will see we indicate these comments, but we also indicate that members said that the report will be taken as read and the presentation will be taken as read, and the committee will do the supplementary BRRR. And the minutes that we were due to consider on the day stood over. And then Chair and members, just to note, the minutes are shorter because the discussions and the observations and recommendations via the discussion with the AG will be featured in the supplementary BRRR report that we will do. I think, Chair, once we get the SAA's annual report as well, it would be advisable to do both of those ones together, since they were the only two that tabled late. Otherwise, we're going to have a supplementary and then a second supplementary. So, Chair, that is the minutes from last week.
There you go, honorable members. Number one.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Malemaja here, I stand to move for the adoption of these minutes. Thank you.
Nkupane, this side, Chair. I
Yes.
firstly would like the team to correct the spelling of my name. Nkupane. They have put Nkupane with double P. So in the first set as well as in this second set of minutes, let them correct that. And on that note, I second Honorable Malemaja. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. With that, editing on Honorable Nkopane. You need to correct that, edit that, and then from there, we have adopted in line with that change. When that change is effected, yeah. Thanks very much. What's outstanding now? Two things outstanding. What's outstanding? Pardon?
Okay, I'm not sure if you are going to deal in this meeting with the postponed ASAP interviews and the communication and invites from the minister on the road safety campaign.
Okay, you will circulate the invite from the minister to the group, to the committee members. We're invited by the minister to join the launch on the 30th of November. It will be in Free State. Members are encouraged, those will be able to join that so that we show solidarity and support to the festive strategy that will be presented to us before that particular launch. Secondly, is that after consultation, colleagues, compatriots, we have decided that we must put on hold the interviews relating to ASIP, those interviews that we're supposed to do, because we have not yet got all the verifications of qualification, especially for those who are from outside the country. And the danger is that if we are to continue with them, we are going to first have to standardize questions and ask similar questions. And in terms of the developments now and the experience in Parliament is that all the interviews need to be made public. Now, other members will have enough time to know the questions that are going to be asked, and that will be unfair on the other members who will become the 3 members who are already vetted. So out of that, in consultation with those who advise from the legal point of view, we decided that we need to put them on hold until such a time that we get everything. Initially, you'll remember in the last meeting, our agreement was that as they come in part and trips, we'll then be able to interview them. But with these new developments, it was only fair to postpone them until such a time that everyone is ready. Any comment on that? It's simple and straightforward. If there's no comment, the next issue.
It's simple and straightforward, Chair, and it's assisting us. That is going to build our integrity as the portfolio committee. Thank you very much, Chair. I support what you have presented.
Oh, thanks very much. Thanks very much. Also, thanks you very much, colleagues. What is the other issue, Valerie?
Chair, before I go ahead, I see Mr. Ghana's hand is still up.
The Honorable Ghana?
No, it was on agreeing with the absent process.
Okay, honorable members. Any other matter outstanding, Valerie?
Yes, Chair, which I spoke to you about yesterday. We need confirmation from the committee whether next week the department will talk to the festive season road safety campaign must be in person or virtual, and then the matter for the 2nd December, Chair, the committee indicated in its meeting with RAF that there should be a follow-up meeting. So in terms of the dates, the 2nd of December, it's the only available date. But Chair, we've also indicated to you as a secretariat that last 2 Tuesdays in the parliamentary program in December can change very quickly. So that date might be impacted if plenaries are scheduled from 10 o'clock. On the program that was originally circulated at the beginning of the term, on that date, in fact, plenary was scheduled for 10 o'clock, and then it was again back to 2 o'clock, but it might just change back, and we will probably only know from this week whether that date might be affected by an earlier sitting of the House.
Yeah, okay, yes. A comment?
Yeah, Chair, so as I hear what Valerie is saying, is that asks 2 things. One is whether the meeting next week should be in person or virtual. I have no violent disagreement having it virtually. And I think when we get to the next item, I'll explain, but it can be virtual. I have no problem with that. And then the meeting on the 2nd, the program that I have, it does not indicate that the plenary on the 2nd starts in the morning, unless if you're talking about the 9th. The 9th, it's no longer happening, Valerie. Parliament will finish its business for the year on the 5th of December. So that week of the 9th is no longer happening. The vote on the DORA, it's happening on Thursday. That's the meeting that's taking place. That starts at 10 o'clock in the morning on the 4th of December. And that is the final session of the year, because from the 9th, it's from the 8th is constituency period. So we do have the 2nd of December that we can use to then do a follow-up with RAP, more so because of what just got responded to in this particular meeting. I think we can use that Tuesday the 2nd to deal with those matters. Chair.
Should we make it physical?
I prefer for it to be physical because in any case, the sitting on the 2nd is quite a long one. So there's a member statements, the two debates, and so it's going to, let's make it physical on the 2nd, Chair.
Okay. I think
but then
agree.
The one for next week, we make it virtual.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think we have a problem there. Any other matter?
Okay, just from my side, the committee has dealt this morning with the marine oil pollution bill. So based on the legal services discussion with the bill's office for the edited version, we will provisionally set the consideration and the adoption of the report on the bill then for next week. And the report will be distributed to all members by Thursday the latest. And we will follow up with the bill's office to ensure that we get the information with them this week as well, Chair.
Okay. Now, from my side, we are supposed to meet again at what, for our short listing, at what time?
Chair, at 2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock. Okay. So we are agreeing we meet then. Or anyone wants to say something before I close?
Chair, apologies, it's at 13:30, so it's an hour's time.
Okay.
So I take it that Parliament had programmed it for 13:30 in case there are people who want to watch that. So we can't deal with it now, Valerie?
Mr. Ghana, there are a lot of there's a lot of information to process, 73 CVs. So we thought we will give members a lunch break to just stretch and come back. But I will be logging on from early so that those members who want to join, the line will be open from around 1 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, no, it's fine. We'll convene at 1:30. I'll have a proposal on at that time, Chair. So we can convene at 1:30. It's not a problem. In case someone read the Z list and said they'll only join at 1:30. But I have a proposal in terms of how we proceed on that matter, which will make which, if accepted, could make that session a lot shorter. Thanks.
Okay. Dr. Onsena.
Thank you, Chairperson. I might, or not might, I will definitely join a little bit later since I have to attend to an urgent matter on another Zoom meeting at 2 o'clock. And I will join up as soon as I'm done with that, which shouldn't take long, but please accept my apology for not being part of the afternoon session from the onset. I've got all the CVs and I've worked through the majority of them, so I'll join as soon as I'm done with that meeting. My apologies for this.
Okay. No. Thanks very much. That is understandable. That's understandable. Honorable members, colleagues, compatriots, our team, our working hard supporting team, thanks very much for now. We meet at 1:30 to process that shortlisting. Thanks very much. Have a great day.